Good morning and welcome to Quad Save the Queen, day number 3. We'll be with you and have a stream announcer shortly. We're sorry about the slight delay this morning, and we'll be with you shortly, but enjoy the Derby coverage.
Hello, hello. All right, everybody. We got a few extra crew here. I'm Colonel Panic. I've just jumped on. Got you the scoreboard running now, and we have Assassins versus Convict City. Here, day 3. Quad Save the Queen. We are 20 minutes almost into this game. Assassins have a strong lead already. They're on 87 points with Moody Bitch jamming in lead. Story of this weekend, though, has been Convict City playing with their really short roster. I believe this is game number 7 for those guys. Really tough work. They're really showing some heart. Qualified 4th so far in this tournament. These semi-finals here. Going to decide who plays the grand final coming up next. Going into jam number 19, we have Vanessa Shredgraves going up against Rotten Roller. Chugs and Minky in the box. So both teams down one blocker. Rotten Roller picks up lead jammer. Shreds though, she jumps through, flick of the hips, quick fake to the outside. She's out on her scoring pass. Rotten Roller is trapped in the pack. Has to call it off, but she does manage to collect all 4 points. Brings the Assassins total to 94. Convict still on 9. Branicki's lining up against Pure Energy now. Both teams back to a full blocker contingent. As I said, we have a very short roster, and we have Branicki through for lead. Convict City out on the track. Skating today, we have Slam Tell, Crack, Bama, Branicki, lead jammer status. Convicts nicely reading the offense by Tricks there, and they speed the pack up. They pull a big, about 40 feet before Moody gets in there. Moody a quick 3 points. As you can see there, Shreds is now standing in the box, still wearing the star. At least this will give her a good rest so she can come out firing. Still eligible for lead. A little bit of an unorthodox power jam start there. Juicy at the front, but she's wearing a pivot. She's going for a pivot line start and going to try and force some false starts. Bama recalling those old school rules. Manages to avoid the false start. Shreds is now back on the track, trying to score. Rotten's got 1 to beat. She gets past Bama and gets lead. Meanwhile, Shreds now through on her scoring pass. A lot of fight in her veteran roster here for the Convicts. They've been skating together with almost the same roster for the last 4 or 5 years. It's certainly shown this weekend the heart and teamwork that's got them here. They've bested 8 other teams already this weekend to get here. This is a playoff to decide. Getting forced out of bounds by Blocky Balboa. I've had the pleasure, honor of jamming against her, and she can certainly take me out of bounds anytime she feels like it. Ooh, we do have a skater down out the back there. She looks hurt. I think we're going to see the jam called off. So big thank you to all our volunteers, refs, NSOs and first aid staff. The first aid staff just taking a look at that convict skater who's down there. A big thank you to everyone that's made this weekend possible. Quad Save the Queen being broadcast all over the world on WFTDA.tv. Presented by the Canberra Roller Derby League. And you're watching it live on Down Under Derby TV. This coverage is made possible by Spank Alley, Tavish Designs and Better Bearings. It's a cold morning here in Canberra. We do have a small crowd here on track 2. Public holiday Monday. Thank you to the Queen for this birthday celebration. Right now, most of us would probably be sitting at our desks doing paperwork, but instead we're enjoying some fantastic derby. As you can see on your screen there, penalty count. Pretty clean game so far. These teams have all played 5 or 6 or 7 games already this tournament. Assassins, no one really in penalty trouble. Slayer, one of the veterans for the Assassins, is on 3. Brannicky, one of the effective jammers there on the rotation for Convict City, she's on 4. Looks like most of those are probably, well, certainly the clockwise blocks, very rare for jamming, so she'll probably pick them up. She's a very utility skater, blocks and jams. Bammer on 3 there. Everyone else pretty clean so far, but you can really see that difference in the rosters. The penalty whiteboard showing just how short Convict are playing this weekend. The amount of heart showing there. It's very inspiring stuff. The team I'm coaching this weekend, we came in with a short roster, but not this short, and we were really struggling with skaters just literally getting beaten up left, right and center, so I can't even imagine how they're feeling this morning. Smiles all around though. Big grins from Crack and Chugs. Bammer and Pepper on the line there. We're back underway. Looks like everyone's okay. Shreds and Energy. 2 fast, powerful and agile skaters. They've all been doing this a long time. And Shreds through for lead jammer for the Convict City. They've got Energy contained. Crack tries to hit Energy out, but she does that beautiful roll off that it's kind of one of her signature moves. Gets her out, gets her scoring. Juicy puts a big hit on Shreds, knocks it to the ground. Shreds calls it off, adding 3 to the total. That brings us to 109 Assassins and Convict up to 16. Now previously to this point in the tournament, total points scored by your team has been a factor in ranking and seeding the next round of the tournament. This morning, it's all about wins and losses. It really doesn't matter what the score is. Star pass over the line from Toaster to Brannicky. Obviously, Brannicky not picking up lead, but she's well out in front. Power Pout gets out, earns lead and calls it off. They're going to go for some points denial here. Fun and friendly game, but no one's going to give away free points. Good pressure play by Convicts. Obviously, that's going to save a little bit of endurance. When you're running a short pack like this, your bench strategy has to include rest jams. As strange as that sounds, it's something you need to do where you essentially let the other team get lead and you just put enough pressure on to rest your packs, rest your jammers, and then come back out and try and smash the next couple. using those 30-second lineups to your advantage. If you can make a short jam, you get a 30-second rest. Shreds now through for her scoring pass. A strong 2-wall. Crack and Pepper holds Moody up. Moody now is getting backwards, so she's got her eye on the pack. A really controlled call off. She was winding the clock, trying to get her pivot out of the box. Her pivot and a blocker. Sredge sneaks 3 points though. Moody's eye too much on the box, not on the scoring. Assassins 113. And Convicts now up to 19. Brannicky jamming for the Convicts. Rotten roll around the outside and lead jammer for the Assassins. You can see how much force they're putting into the track. The camera even just picking up vibration from all that here. And we're a couple of steps up away from the track. A quick call off there. Actually, Brannicky taken down and out on the outside. She looks a little hurt. Tough physical game for everyone here. But she's up. She's back on the bench. She's looking a little sore. It doesn't look like anything too injured. I think she'll be back for another jam shortly. We've just got 1 minute left in this first period. Stacey Deasy and Slayer in the box for the Assassins. So Shreds with just 2 to beat. Offense up front by Toaster, but it's Juicy and Ferrell. Shreds beats them both, but pure energy with that fast sprinting skate style that she has is closing the gap on Shreds. Real powerhouse there, energy. Shreds with a lot of fitness, but energy just with lots of movement. Both jammers in the pack and scoring. Energy's got her 4. Shreds is trying for some more points before she calls. Knocked out of bounds. I don't think she got all 4. And yeah, the jam ref agrees. 3 points for Shreds and the Convicts. 4 for the Assassins. So points against lead, but I don't think that's what Convicts were going for in that jam. They were going to just try and put some points on the board. 23 points for Convicts, 117 for the Assassins as we go into halftime. We have just 90 minutes of derby left here at Quad Save the Queen. I'm just going to keep talking because I'm here by myself, and hopefully you guys are so enthralled that you're sticking around. Getting a bit of a crowd here on track 2 now. Everyone's got their coffee and it's starting to warm up. So you can see on the penalty board, Slayer for the Assassin, she's now on 4. Convicts have got Bama and Brannicky on 4. So a little bit of penalty trouble with a short roster. Foul outs are always a possibility. Thank you once again to our NSO crew in black here this weekend. Doing some amazing stuff with the stats. It's been hard to keep track of the total points across the different rounds. Hard to keep track of all these rosters, all the colors, uniform changes, meetings. These guys work tirelessly. I've done a few of these tournaments as a referee myself. They are certainly exhausting, so we really appreciate all of the work that they put in. giving up their public holiday Monday to get up. I believe they were 7:30 Saturday morning they were here for their meeting. I was still in bed at that time. So shout out to the refs on this game. Canberra's own John Ref Kennedy. Short Circuit, Boom Tish. T-Ref, Tom and 8 Tracks. That's Vector. Trying to see from this angle the rest of the officials here. Our head and S. O'Connie all the way from Western Australia. Scorekeepers and scoreboard operators rugged up just in front of me. It's still pretty cold here in this stadium. Just going to jump off here while we check in on the stream stats and make sure the scoreboard's behaving the way it should. We have 11 minutes left of halftime. We'll be back shortly. Period 2, semi-finals, Quad Save the Queen. Convict City Rollers against the Sydney Roller Derby League. Moody versus Crack, 0-1-0. Moody with lead jammer, the Assassins really holding up Crack in the pack. She fights out and she is through on her scoring pass. I unplugged it and replugged it and it came good. We got an assertion failed or some crap, I don't know. Also, we had 2 track 1s, so I renamed.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah.
Track we. That's partly because I've been called. All right, Jam 2, period 2. Shreds versus Energy. We've seen this lineup a couple of times before. Penalty box is clean, so the Jam is going to have to fight. Energy up again. Slamtel. Energy with lead jammer. And Slamtel gets the out of play penalty for all her efforts there. Shreds fighting against the 2-all of Minky and Trix. Not out of the pack. Energy calls it off with the adding a 3 to the total. If I can just see over this. Fail. No, I just can't see. 27 minutes left in this game still, and the grand final coming up immediately after. Based on the scores over on track 1, you'd have to, if you're a betting person, you'd have to say it's pretty likely we're going to see an Assassins by City Rollers final today. Anything can happen. 27 minutes left. Convict City really putting their strength, teamwork and passion on the line. None of these skaters paid to be here. They're doing it for the love. Shreds going up against Rotten Roller. A super strong, experienced 3-wall by the Assassins at the back. Minky, Stacy DC and Juicy Vengeance really controlling Shreds, and Blocky just can openers. Shreds to the ground. Brutal hit. Picks up the penalty for it, but it certainly did its job and just took a lot of oomph out of Shreds. Possibly seeing a little stars there as she track cut immediately afterwards. Funnily enough, not a lot of conversation happening between Blocky and Shreds in the box now. Assassins pick up 5 more points and call it off. They're going to let Shreds sit in the box to give Moody the opportunity to get lead and score unopposed. Pepper and Brannicky team up to attempt to stop her. But an interesting strategy there. Moody just gets out, gets lead over the pivot line, calls it straight off. That jam was exactly 6 seconds long. And now they get another 30 seconds rest. So just like I was saying before, this is all about planning for the next game for the Assassins here. They're going to do a lot of clock management, I expect, a lot of endurance management. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see a couple of non-jammers out there saving their high rotation jammers for another hour of play coming up immediately after this. We'll see though, I'm looking at the Assassins bench and they have a deep jammer rotation. They have 4 pivot stars and they just, 4 jammer stars, and they're just on the heads of their dedicated jammers. They're just not mixing it up, playing to a formula. Certainly something to be said about structured lineups. Skaters know their job, They're trained in their job. Certainly working for the Assassins here. 5 more points for energy. Shreds in the pack. She's managing her energy here. Looking to take the assist. But Assassin's happy just to get the pack speed moving. They're just lapping along. Energy's doing about the same pack speed. Slowly closing in, but it's now Shreds is fighting the wall of Juicy and Blocky up the front. It's going to give Energy a chance to pick up those extra points. Crack with a little assist for Shreds. Gets her past Stacey DC, but there's still 3 more Assassins in front. Slamtel assisting left and right. Takes 2 Assassins down. For that left 2 recycling Shreds. And she gets stuck still on her initial pass at the end of that jam. 23 minutes left to play here in Track 2 semi-finals. Skaters on both teams are just looking really calm and composed here. Just so impressed with what Convict City's done this weekend. To come into day 3, seeded number 4. 8 other teams haven't made it to day 3. They're already at the pub. Convict with, I'm sure this is the shortest roster of the whole tournament. Seeded number 4 coming into day 3. Power Pout through to lead jammer here though, in jam number 7. But Pow Pow picks up a track cut. She doesn't look happy about it. But when a ref calls a cut, that cut's gonna stand at least until the end of the jam. It's a good opportunity for Convict to add to their point score. Toaster wearing the jammer star, but Minky forces Toaster out of bounds and to recycle. Minky picks up the penalty for it, but it's one of those ones you got to say is worth it because it allowed her teammates to drag Toaster all the way back about 40 feet. Toaster now adds 5 points to the Convict total. Chugs forcing Pow Pow out of bounds and off the track with a big hit. Recycles her. Pow Pow's definitely looking like she's working harder in this jam than she has in the previous few. Pout picks up the 4 points. But Toaster picks up 4 to match it. Convicts now into the 30s. The pack just picks up the speed and winds out the last of that jam. So exactly 20 minutes left in this game. Assassin's well in control on the scoreboard. Also well in control on the penalty board. The Convict City looking a little tough. Brannicky now up to 5 penalties. And someone else just getting their 5th written on the board. That's Chugs. So they're going to have to watch that. If they lose a couple of skaters, these last 20 minutes are going to be really tough. Shreds gets out of the pack for her scoring pass, but Rotten Roller is well in control of this jam. Using that footwork that she's been showing all weekend. Slamtel absolutely nailing her to the floor though right before the call off. One day I want to invent a device that jammers wear called a jam tank. Tells you how much they have left, and every time they get hit to the floor, it's going to take about a third out of that. There is one thing that no matter what jammer it is, getting hit to the floor and having to get back up just takes so much out of you. Right now, Moody Bitch out the front and moving quick. She's got plenty left in her jam tank. Meanwhile, Toaster wearing the star again for Convicts. Fighting a tough wall of Juicy and Peggy Spew. Assassins veterans. Real tough blockers to get past. Brannicky right at the end there. Forcing Rotten out, doing the drawback. It limits the Assassin scoring on that jam. Only 2 showing on the board for that effort, but I think the Assassin's bench at this point are looking at clock management still rather than extending their lead. All that matters in this game is the win. The winner goes through to the grand final. Team that comes second on the scoreboard goes to the concession stand to get hot dogs to cheer on the final 2 teams. Shreds with something to say about it though. She is through for lead jammer for the Convicts. Energy a solid half lap behind. Chugs and Slamtel, they're trying to set up points. Slamtel forces 2 of the Assassins out of bounds with a single hit. That winds up 4 points for Shreds. She's getting the skate around signal from her bench to clear the box. For them, it's about putting points on the board right now. The pack moving fast. Energy still hasn't caught a single Convict blocker. Alabama at the front. She's skating fast, trying to stay in front. Now now Pure Energy catches the pack, and it's Slayer earns those points for her jammer. All right, Power Pout lining up against Crack. Crack fighting at the back. Brannicky fighting on Power Pout. She tries to draw the cut. Refs don't agree. Power Pout's got lead, but Crack is arcing her way around the pack, trying to catch up with Power Pout. Yeah, it's gone. Sorry, we have just lost camera 2 here on track 2. We're sticking with this one angle till we get that fixed. Meanwhile, the pack moving at hyperspeed. Brannicky, Pepper and Toaster are winding it fast. They want to give Crack an opportunity, but she looks like she's struggling a little with the old cardio. Hashtag Fat Jammer. I don't think that's her style. Crack a super effective jammer, using her strength and power, but when the pack speeds up, works against a little. Valiant effort, Crack jamming hard all weekend, picking up lots of points for her team. Now we see Shreds lining up against Rotten Roller. The Convicts putting up a good line of defense. Rotten uses a bit of strength. Normally she's known as an agile jammer, but she pushes that Brannicky out of the way and picks up that lead jammer status. Shred still stuck in the pack. Now Shred's out and scoring. Rotten now in the pack, trying to pick up all the points. She calls it off right before Shreds enters the pack. 4-0 for that jam. All right, we're seeing some old school derby here as we finish off this semi-final. Both teams lined up on the pivot line. Moody and Toaster wearing the stars for their respective teams. Toaster up front and with lead jammer status. Moody hot on her heels though. It's going to be a jammer race. If I didn't know better, I'd say we're playing by USAR's rules right here. This is fast derby. Pack's slowing it down a little now. Toaster calls it off. There's nothing to be gained by challenging the pack there. Moody had the points scoring opportunity right in front of her. We are now 12 minutes 33 left in the semi-final. Thank you once again to Canberra Roller Derby League for hosting this amazing tournament. 2 full tracks plus a full-size warm-up track. Lots of officials, 12 teams. Thank you to WFTDA.tv and Down Under Derby TV for putting this on and made possible by Spank Alley, Tavish Designs and Better Bearings. Pure Energy up against Shreds. This lineup we've seen a few times. Pure Energy gets the control and lead jammer status as both teams lose their pivots to the box. Shreds tries to get out of the pack but picks up a track cut. Bama's going to join her in the box. It's a bit of a love fest here in the box by the Convicts team. We now have 4 Convict skaters, Brannicky, Hurley, Slam and Shreds, all just hanging out in the box. Good way to get your breath back, but not a good way to score more points. It looks like we have our first foul out. Alabama Hurley, big shout out to her. She skates away from the track after picking up her 7th. Tough game, tough weekend. Well, you're going to have to say that Assassins are probably going to take the win here. She's done. She can grab a coffee, get a jacket on so she doesn't cool down too much, and cheer on the team. Captain Crack takes her spot in the penalty box. Shreds, Slam and Crack going to warm that bench with Brannicky and Q on the track, and Toaster, the only unpenalized skater for Convicts right now. Not surprisingly, Power Pout with an easy lead jammer. And again with clock management by the Assassins bench, calls it off. Hasn't freed anyone up for the Convicts. Samtel is standing though, which allows Brannicky to at least take a seat in the box. It's all Chugs. Chugs is the pack. One lone solitary Convict skater on the track. Rotten Roller through to lead, calls it off immediately. That jam just 4 seconds long. I think that would be the shortest jam of the whole weekend. 4 seconds and a 30-second break. Certainly a good way to maintain your fitness going into a 1 hour grand final. Coming up in 45 minutes. So Moody Bitch would lead here going into the final 10 minutes. Another short jam. Shreds gets out of the pack on a scoring pass this time. But 5 points earned by the Assassins as they call a team timeout. As you can see there on the feed, they have a pretty big lineup. Full 14 on the board. I don't see a drop of sweat on them. They've been training hard for this weekend. All right, that war cry by the Assassins. They're ready for 10 more minutes of tournament derby here on track 2. Their dedicated jammer lineup still all just wearing their stars on the bench. Meanwhile, Convict with their short roster, they've got Captain Crack wearing the stripe this time. Toaster with the jammer star. Finally, that penalty spiral ends for the Convicts. They've got a full contingent on the track. Ferrell Street for the Assassins goes to the box. Doesn't slow Pure Energy down much though. She's through to 5 points already, less than 20 seconds into this jam. Toaster is now through. She's scoring. But Energy and Control, she can certainly call it off before Toaster can pick up anything. She leaves it pretty late. Convict pick up 2 points. She gets that one hip and the box point. Assassins extend their lead to 181. Points against lead there though for the Convicts. It's always a win. Everyone loves a little bit of ghost points, even if they're more boringly referred to as NOTT. They're still a ghost point in my heart. All right, we are on another timeout here. See the Assassins just chilling there. Bench coach Rampage having a chat with the refs. Convicts still looking calm and composed. A lot of veteran skaters out there. Shred's been a primary jammer for the Convicts for as long as I can remember. She's smiling, having fun. Smiling and having fun up here on the commentary bench too. It's a little quiet up here this morning and a little bit cold. Hopefully by the time most of you are watching this feed, you're comfortably at home watching it on the archive. We will be uploading this in full 1080 quality in the week ahead. 4G coverage in this stadium this weekend has been a little patchy, so we apologise when the frame rate and quality drops down like it says it is right now. Hopefully you can still see what's happening. And make sure you check back on the archives later on, which will sound a little weird with me telling you this now. But there will be full quality, full frame rate going up as individual games. Rotten Roller in control of this jam with lead. Shreds out on her scoring pass, about half a lap behind. Another fast pack. 0-0. Good points denial by the convict wall. That's hard to do against an agile jammer like Rotten Roller. Captain Crack lining up for the convicts with the star. I think she's purposely trying to pull depth face there. Sorry, Crack, she knows. She knows I love her. She's one of my favourite skaters out there. Coach on the Wizards training squad this year. She picks up a track cut though, unfortunately. Happened right in front of the box here. It was just the slightest touch of her toe stop. There is no way she could have felt that. Just tough luck on that cut. Legs swung out over the line and just briefly made a hair's width contact with the floor, but enough to earn the track cut. These officials, their eyes are like microscopes sometimes. They can see what's going on. Pow Pow scoring unopposed. She's got 5 already. Beautiful long legs jumping around. Picks up 5 points. I don't think the convicts blockers got even a touch on her. They tried. Crack now off that penalty. She's going to try and get the initial pass on. Pow Pout seemingly with plenty in her jam tank. 5 more points. She's just happy to rack up the score. Going for a long jam here. This is one of the longest ones we've seen of this period. 1 minute 30 before Pow Pout calls it off. She's got to be pretty happy with that. Adding 16 to the total. Assassins just about to crack the 200 mark. Jammers lining up, going with 5 minutes left. Shreds and Moody having a good laugh, both wearing the star. Captain Crack is in the middle of the track having a chat about those penalties. Shreds and Moody both still fighting in the pack. They have a strong formation holding them. Moody now finally gets through. Took 25 seconds. That's one of the longer initial passes we've seen this morning. Shred still fighting against a veteran wall for the Assassins. She's through scoring now. A big grin on her face. Slam Tell slams Moody to the ground. Moody does get back up, but she seems a little slower after that hit. Calls it off before Shreds is able to pick up any points. Shreds still grinning. She does love her derby. She does love getting that close to a point. Still nice and cold here on track 2 of the Southern Cross Stadium. My coffee's gone cold and I haven't even got to the bottom of it yet. We have an official review called by the Assassins. Bench coach Rampage looking sharp this morning. Joined by Captain Juicy. The Sydney skaters all have changed their Facebook profile pictures to the scariest photo of Juicy I think I've ever seen. Rampage explaining the situation, stating his concern, making a challenge and asking for an expected outcome. Head ref Vector understands, goes to confers with the referee crew. While they do that, just a quick update on the penalty board. Chugs and Bama have now fouled out. That's going to leave the Convicts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skaters. That's a tough way to play these final few minutes. 5 on the track, 2 on the bench. It's not a lot of rest. They're probably saying thank you to the Assassins right now for this official review. Official reviews you can just use as a 1-minute timeout under the current rule set, but for the bench coach that wants to get some extra time for their team, if you word it right, it takes the refs more than a minute to discuss it and come back with an answer, which is exactly what's happened here. We're on 2 minutes so far. So here we are, 3 minutes 43 left in semi-final. Track 2 quad Save the Queen on WFTDA.tv. Pure Energy. Extreme Jess gets lead jammer. Toaster for the Convicts. She gets through. Blocky Balboa swings those powerful hips, but doesn't make contact. Assassins 201 points already on the board. Convicts with 38. Extreme Jess calls it off. 4 points. Convicts with nothing. All right, Shreds lining up against Rotten Roller with the Jammer Stars. We have an empty penalty box. Everyone loves a good clean box. Brannicky and Squeeze trying to hold Rotten Roller up. Unable to do so though. Assassins well in control with lead. Shreds fighting that veteran wall we've seen all weekend long. Juicy and Stacey DC. Still struggling. A little bit of offense from the Convict blockers. Get Shreds past 1 or 2. Gets recycled, and finally a hop, skip and a jump. She gets past them all, but the jam is called. We are in the final 2 minutes of day 3, track 2. When this game ends, we'll be packing up over on this track and everyone will converge on the grand final in track 1. All right, Power Pout here in control, possibly the final jam. She's shown good endurance on the long jams here. Brannicky with a swing and a miss. Power Pout through for another 5. She's just happy lapping at this point. Convicts jammer forced out, drawn back by Juicy and Chewy. been happening all weekend. Powerpout really coming on fire this season since her move from Western Sydney, using agility and some good toe stops running to just get through so many passes without even touching an opposing blocker. A lot of that can be attributed to the Assassins packs with their beautiful offense. Brannicky making it hard though, doing some one-on-one jammer work. Her experience as a jammer really showing there as she's able to track the movements of Powerpout and stay in front. Doesn't work that time though. Powerpout gets right past Brannicky. 5 more points. That was a big jam, 25-0. That's 5 scoring passes and takes us through to full time here. The officials just doing a final confirmation, and there's our full-time whistle. That score is going to lock in. Sydney Roller Derby League, the Assassins takes the win, 240 points to Convict City Rollers, the Convicts, on 38. Amazing, amazing heart shown there by the Convict City skaters. Shortest roster of the tournament. Skated hard. They played more games. They got seeded in the D pool of the Lightning rounds. The D pool meant you played 2 more games last night. So that's tough. They finished at about 10:30 last night with their D pool final. Got up early this morning, came out here and smashed down a very respectable score. You can see they're happy, they're cheering. Chugs and Alabama, who fouled out, they're back in with the team, smiling and laughing. Big shout out to them, some of my favorite skaters in all of Aussie Derby. Bama sporting the New York Shock Exchange shirt. Shout out to those guys if they're watching. Looks like Captain Crack is